just recently at Cymbrowitz Community College, where we had a Turkish film, an Israeli film, and a Russian film. It was the first of its kind, and we thank you for putting that together for us. And who speaks. We're hoping that we can do it again next year, and we'll talk about it. We were hopeful that the concept really is there's a dwindling Jewish population that still exists in Turkey. And this movie that we showed called Passport was about individuals who saved Jews during the Holocaust and allowed these people who were in different countries, whether they were in London, Paris, Belgium, to come back with safe passage to Turkey so that they would be safe. And it's important that we understand, and the concept is that with these movies, we'll get a better understanding of each other's culture. And through education, we can hope for peace. And we're doing that with young people, especially, that we can teach each other about each other's cultures and learn that only through peace and only through education. We thank you for participating in and being part of it. Thank you
so much. One more little announcement. You know, we have 3 artists here who were generous to invite us and to host this event. And I would love maybe if you will have like a moment, these artists can tour you shortly through the artworks. So they will tell you a little bit about their works, and you know, you would be maybe remembering them, you know, for quite some time. So this is Richard Ruprecht. He hosting this event. It's his space. This is his beautiful photography. And maybe we will start with him. Here is Artem Mirolevich. He's a painter and outstanding graphic artist. So here you see basically his paintings. And here is Igor Molochevski, who will show us
projection,
video art, you know, installation later. So maybe we'll start with you. After you will say words about your art. And you know, it will bring like a new dimension to our gathering.
Sure. Well, thank you for coming and welcome. And I guess I'll just do this quickly so you guys don't have to get terribly paid by it. A lot of the works that you see up on the wall, some of them are from India, and I did a trip for about 8 months into India to go photograph a few years back, and then I did a show here in New York. It was still, like, to this day, my largest show. I had about 3,500 people at the opening, and I used the proceeds to give back in the day to Charity Water, which is an organization that funds clean water drinking wells back in India. And that's what these are, some of the ones left over that are the Indian ones. Each one has a different story behind it. That one in particular, for example, over there, that's the black and white woman, is actually a Muslim bride in Bombay. And the way the marriage ceremonies work is they get married separately on 2 separate floors. And so she was not to meet her husband until after they were married. And so there are no men on the women's floor. And I was the first man, I was allowed up there. And I was the first man she saw after she'd been married, before she was going to meet her husband. And so that expression is a little bit. Then the other ones that are more colorful, which is the main center one right here, and some of the ones in the other room, I shot at a festival called Burning Man. But what happened here was I created a set with some other friends of mine that are artists that designed the whole set in Bali, and we forgot to take a couple of details into account. That was all Balinese silk with no flame retardants on it. And we were out in the desert trying to shoot, and there were lots of crystals around it. My guess is that one of the crystals acted as a prism, and caught everything on fire. That's actually an accident. It was not supposed to catch fire, so I was supposed to do a whole photo shoot, and I only got one photo out of it, but it became one of my more well-known photographs.
How do you get the color? It's so sharp.
It's a mix of a couple of things. The colors is because I use a very modern camera that has a high megapixel range. But I also, it's the way it's printed and the way that I'll never print my photographs the way a lot of people do just regularly. I print them always thermally bonded between Citra and Plexi, even though it's extremely expensive relative to just printing a regular photograph.
To do an 8x10, it's expensive.
Well, I mean, relative to what, if you want to compare it to going to Kinko's and printing out an 8x10, then yeah, it's extremely expensive. But I mean, an 8x10 will probably run you about $150. But
For a photo they really want.
So that one is one of the photographs that is one of my most well-known ones. And there's some of these, there's a couple ones in the other room that you'll notice that are more sepia tone. One of them is my self-portrait where I'm walking in the desert, and it's just silhouetted. These other ones that are landscapes are some of the first photographs that I ever took. Being a photographer, because I wasn't always a photographer, I never studied it. It just kind of came to me. I was actually a business guy traveling around the world and sending photographs to friends, and my friends liked it, and the hotel liked it, and the restaurant liked it, and the gallery liked it, and I was publishing a book, and the rest is kind of history. And so these are a series that came from Lake Powell. The thunderstorm kind of came out of nowhere, and so you see the first two, that was the first one over here, is the first minute, then it would go 5 minutes later, it turned to that, then 10 minutes later, it turned to the top one, and then the culmination of the biggest light was in the other room. And then the ones that are frozen are Lake Champlain, where that's just outside my brother's house, looking out over the lake. And the one with the water that is kind of just these weird reflections. I lived out on the ocean for about 7 months, and I've only seen water like that without that kind of reflections, but without being a mirror twice in the 6 months that I lived out there. And those I used to have in the Abbey headquarters, and they've recently come back from the show that we had there. But I don't want to hog all of it, so Artem is a good friend of mine, as well as an amazing artist. We collaborated a bunch of times with him letting me crash to his space when he used to have his space like this right now, a couple blocks away, and I had nowhere to shoot. He's the only reason that I was able to actually shoot my book, because I got kicked out of the Chelsea Hotel at 1 in the morning trying to shoot it.
Yeah, actually got some pictures. So anyway, Peter was graceful enough to offer me his space to showcase and to work, to use as a studio. And here you see a body of work, which is etchings on the wall right here, and oil paintings here, and then mixed media pieces along the wall. And they're all from different series. I guess one of them is Sunken City, which is very relevant considering the recent Sandy story. Actually, I put it on Facebook twice. First time after I painted it, and I got like 25 likes, and then after Sandy, and I got like 125 likes. But I guess people can really relate to it after it's related to something they experience in real life. If you have any questions about the work, just I'll be more than happy to answer them personally. Other than that, just enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
I'll be right here. And also, Igor Molochevski is our third artist, who's doing video installations, and we also collaborate many times, and hopefully we'll do so in the future. Also, I guess a little announcement, we're doing the Russian Pavilion in March during an armory art fair, and you're all welcome to attend, and just watch out for advertising. Everywhere. And we'll exchange information, and I'll send you personal invitation. Igor, you're going to talk a little bit about sexual and mutual projects.
Yes, so let's go together.
year we developed a projection mapping system for works of art, which is actually possible for any artist to use. Any painting is divided into four layers, and based on the layer structure, they're illuminated accordingly. So basically, the result is a projection mapping system, which can be projected on a flat surface. This can be used for both for lighting as well as creating another layer of meaning for the work. Our next project is going to be taking this little step further, but you have to see it.
The Russian pavilion?
Yes. And actually, I'm going to release the code for the program for other people to use.
Parts and layers that coincide with.
Yes, and you can actually do projection.
You see, new media, new world.
Basically, how projection